The Speakers Bank Podcast. Our voices, our views. Hi, this is a new episode of our Speakers Bank Podcast, and I'm here with Storm.
Hello everybody.
And Catherine.
Hi guys.
So guys, today we're talking about having a social life, which is, I suppose, one of my only lives. We can cut that, that's alright, fine. So, guys, sorry, I should actually start with Storm, because he seems very outgoing. What sort of social activities do you do, and what keeps you busy?
Oh well, it's funny you actually said that I'm outgoing, because I am outgoing, but I don't really have a really strong social life.
Yep.
I supposedly say that my social life is when I go to the gym, because you meet other people at the gym, you get to talk to other people. That's kind of my social life, but for me, I need to improve, I need to make more friends. I need to get out and about and, explore what life is outside of the cocoon. And what I mean by cocoon is, I mean my own safety net of my own house.
Yeah, outside your bunker.
Yes. Because I find that while it's all good to have an outgoing personality, you can't use it if you don't go outside.
So what about you, Catherine? What social activities do you do, and what keeps you busy?
My social life would be probably folk club and participating with the Newport Bush Orchestra.
Yep.
Because
Sorry, could you say that again for me?
the Newport Bush Orchestra.
What's that about?
It's a bush orchestra where we will go and play for bush dancers. And yeah, so that keeps me busy, as well as going to church and youth group. So I help with the youth group of planning and that as a youth leader. And we do a camp every year with Soul Survivor, which is like a youth festival, and which is a lot of fun. So that keeps me busy of planning as well. I also, I'm surrounded by music basically.
That's awesome. I suppose for me, it's I didn't have a lot of a social life for many years, purely because of the way I was brought up and the way my mum was. So I didn't have a lot of friends, and kind of when I moved to the Big Smoke, to the city, I had to really learn how to, I suppose, have a social life again. And I realised that sitting at home every weekend, watching the Comedy Channel just wasn't suffice.
I want to ask the panel a question. How hard was it for everyone here to make friends? Like, I remember my first moment of making my first friend. It was so hard because they've got to look for the person that's actually you, rather than the disability. It took me ages and ages to find it.
I find with me, it was very hard getting in a friendship group and going into the right friendship group. Like, I had a lot of good people that treated me good, except I just didn't fit in that mainstream area. I was kind of like in the middle as being mild intellectually, and but that was alright. I had a lot of great teachers that kind of supported me through that, and I had an integration aid all my life, and she was great. We did so much fun things together. At high school, it got a little bit better. I had a good friendship group that were mainstream, as I was at a mainstream school.
Yep.
And I did things, but going to like birthday parties was a little bit disappointing, as they wouldn't
You basically didn't get an invite.
yes, and I would want to invite them, but and that shows that the OEC don't understand or how to treat someone with special needs.
See, I found for me that it wasn't so much in primary school that, I found, I suppose, for want of a better word, where the barrier was.
Yes.
Because most kids, kind of, to them, you're actually really cool because you've got a wheelchair and everyone wants to.
Exactly.
The challenge is this, and I find this now more than ever in my approaching my mid-20s, that, especially in high school, when all the boys have, girlfriends and whatever, and you're going through puberty and you start to want a girlfriend, you start to like girls. That's where the barrier is. Even for me now, my roommate likes to remind me about how hard I'm going to find it in finding someone who's, quote, not like me. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna discuss why we think people with disabilities need a social life. And we're back with Storm, myself, and Catherine. So guys, I wanted to ask, why do you think people with disabilities need to have a social life? And again, I'm going to victimise Storm and start with him.
Oh, I'm the victimiser today. It's important because you want to be, you want to have good networks in the community.
Yep.
Without the networks, if something goes wrong, and say for example your mum and dad are out and stuff like that, you need to have some backup. So you need to create support networks to help you. Like, I've got some really good neighbours around my neighbourhood that I've known for years, but that's only because I was out and about talking to them. So that's my social networking.
Whenever you say that, I just had the thought of the Neighbours theme song that just ran right through my head.
Neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours.
Okay, before I tear up my contract, I'm going to ask Catherine essentially the same question. Why do you think people with disabilities need to have a social life?
Because I think people with disabilities are able to have a social life like the mainstream people, and showing the people that we can have a life too.
Yep.
And just getting out there in the community and just enjoying social life and picking the right the right connections where you can just enjoy it and not even focus on your disability.
Yeah. So do you guys think your lives have improved through being able to have a social life?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, for sure. Like, I've only got like one or two friends, but those one or two friends are extremely important to me. I don't believe in a whole group of friends. I believe you've got a couple. That's more than enough.
Yeah.
Because when an incident happens where you're in big trouble, that's when you know who your friends really are.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just thinking that.
Uh,
So I suppose for me, I come at it from I suppose more of not so much the school kid perspective, but now as an adult going, everyone deserves a chance at a relationship. Everyone, deserves to be treated like as if they don't have a disability. Like, as I said to you guys before, my roommate likes to remind me about how hard I'm going to find it, but the reality is, I just think if anyone doesn't want to date me because of the way I look, then they're judging me, solely off the way I look rather than my actual abilities.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's the society's problem, that we need to create that change.
Mm-hmm.
We need to say to them, just because I have a disability doesn't mean you can't judge me, because that's not who I am.
Yeah, like before I gave my roommate, like, people would be astounded when I'd say, well, no, I live on my own, because people immediately assume, oh, you must live with a carer. And it's like, because even, like, for example, I took the cat to the vet last year for vaccines, and the vet said to me, when I had a relative come and help me carry the cat in to the vet, he said, oh, who takes care of your cat? And I said, well, it's just me. I have a guy that crashes on my couch, but it's just me. And he was absolutely astounded that I solely take care of a small cat.
Yeah, it's the stereotyping. Again, they're stereotyping people with disabilities in certain
and judging
and judging them, and in certain situations. Like, for you, instance, they think that you can't take care of a cat, so they think a carer needs to take care of the cat. rather than you. But you're more than capable of taking care of the cat.
Exactly, or you probably get the people that think that you can't take care of your own finances, or that you can't.
Yeah, and people with special needs need to be treated like how you would want to be treated. And like for instance, I was working at a cafe, and the boss was treating you like you were a child.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I think it's that fine balance, but before we take a break, I'll say this. I think it's a fine balance between, recognizing that yes, someone has a physical disability and helping them where they need it, but realizing that on the inside they're just as normal as any other person.
Exactly, that's
right. And treating them as if they
Very
don't
true.
have a disability,
Yeah.
but still giving them the help that they need.
Yeah, exactly.
And I find that hardly anyone can really strike that balance really well.
And that's how it should be.
Okay, so we're gonna on that note, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about barriers for people with a disability and having a social life. What are some of the barriers for people with a disability, and what are the challenges with when it comes to social life and leisure activities?
Well, for me, I'm a big Geelong supporter, and I like to go to football games, but I find getting the tickets and getting the available facilities to go there and the transport is a very, very hard thing for me to accomplish. So it's very, very frustrating because I know that I want to go to a certain game, but because of the accessibility from the grounds, it's very, very difficult, and getting the tickets and the pricing is very, very high as well.
Yeah.
And also I find going to favourite places like the cinema and restaurants are very, very difficult.
Yeah. And it's all well and good to give someone a companion card, but if they can't get in there in the first place...
What's the point? Yeah, I agree.
So what about you, Catherine? What do you think some of the barriers are for people with disability when it comes to social life and leisure activities?
That's a hard question. With me, I think crowds at night, like I wouldn't go out unless I'm with an able-bodied person for my own safety.
Yep.
I would kind of, if I was going on my own, I would stick to the places I'm familiar with, probably just during the day. And yeah, I think having a companion card makes a huge difference to get out more independently.
Yeah.
Catherine, you were talking about how your experiences with the interchange.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to know some of the barriers that you see other people with disabilities face when you're the carer of the interchange program. So what type of things do you find it hard when you look after a person with a disability on the day of the interchange program?
So looking at what the support workers do.
Yeah, because you were telling me one time that you found that interchange helped you create a social life.
Yeah.
And how that experience was for you.
Well, I stick to the groups with the more independent people.
Yep.
Where the support workers will treat you not like a person.
Yep.
Which is good, and I made some friends who are my level.
That's right.
And yeah, so being with Interchange has made a bit of a difference in my social life, like going out to like maybe go to the movies fortnightly. Yeah, and I got to be with a best friend of mine that I was at Urello with for a while, so I reunited with her. So Interchange has been pretty good to me. So far, so good. Yeah. I like my support workers.
That's great.
You get to do things that I would probably wouldn't do in the long run, but yeah.
Yeah, see, for me, I definitely think that there needs to be more, opportunities to socialise for people like us, especially if it ever comes into getting into, bars or, whatever you're into, or sports grounds.
Yeah.
I think that's, for personally, I was, telling Catherine off air that I have a favourite restaurant that I like to go to in Elizabeth Street, they have the best chicken. And I'm not going to name the company, but but that's good. But the unfortunate thing is they have, you know, you guys have seen those electronic ramps, the ones that carry your scooter up the steps.
Yeah.
So this restaurant's kind of you go into it and it's kind of got the door on a really odd angle, and it's got this electronic ramp.
Yes.
The ramp is too thin to take my scooter. So the ramp is too thin, the scooter's too wide. So it gets to the stage where I have to take my order downstairs and eat my chicken at home, so I can't enjoy the ambience of the restaurant. So if I were ever on a date, I wouldn't be able to take a girlfriend there.
What I think some restaurants should do for that purpose is they should provide like a small wheelchair in the restaurant for the people that can't get there.
Yeah, I know. They don't. But when people do restaurants and they do buildings and stuff, they don't think about disabilities. Disabilities are the last person that you think of.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, my understanding of law is, and this would be an interesting fact for anyone that's watching, is that, or this thing, depending on the medium, but the thing is, yeah, I can see the aliens. But my point is that apparently I've heard that legally, I'll just take my tinfoil hat off, that legally new facilities that have recently been built, or even those that are now heritage listed, have to legally, the business owner or whoever is legally obligated to provide disability access.
Yes.
And the unfortunate thing is, there's a restaurant right across the road from me that still hasn't heard that message.
Oh.
So, switching gears a bit, or for a bit, what supports do you guys believe are available or should be available for people with disabilities in terms of physical aids or, you know, accessibility?
Well, for me, it needs to be ramps around buses and things like that. There are still buses within our communities that have still got the stairs, and unfortunately, when you go and to get the bus stops, and the bus stops aren't always there for you on a regular time basis. For example, if you wanted to catch the 1 p.m. bus, and if you miss out because of the steps, you have to wait another 2 hours, and it goes on and on and on.
Or I don't know if you've been into the city storm. What about the trams that still aren't low floor?
Big problem, isn't it? Big problem. Big problem.
So, Catherine, what about you? What physical aids or accessibility options do you think are available or should be available at, you know, facilities?
Oh, I'm not sure. Me personally, I've been to a couple of restaurants with friends at night, and they don't come and write what you want. I can say what I want verbally, like, oh, I would like this, this, this. So in this menu, you have to write the code of what's there in like a paper.
Yeah.
I have trouble doing that, so
Yeah,
my friends have to do it
too.
on my. I get it done for me. My friends do it for me, and because it's just like I'm staring at it for 5 minutes, and I was like, forget it.
See, you know what I do? Whenever that comes up and I'm in a restaurant by myself, which is rare, what I'll often do is or even when I'm with friends, I'll lift the menu like this, and I'll say to the waiter, I want this one, if I can't pronounce the name or I can't memorize the code.
Sometimes I have trouble with words.
Yeah.
And I just point. What I do is I'll sit next to my friends and I say, I want this.
Oh, don't worry, I'm a breakfast radio host. By the time 9 a.m. rolls around, I'm lucky to string a sentence together.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, to switch gears slightly, in terms of the availability of carer or a support person, what services do you guys believe, or what services are out there, or do you believe should be out there for people with a disability?
For me, personal care, it needs to be out there.
Yeah.
Because having good hygiene is very essential, and you need to be able to do that. And sometimes your carer isn't available, your primary carer isn't available to do it, so you need that services. You also need to have like your physio, or depending on how severe your disability is, those type of services to make sure your disability isn't out of whack, so to speak. Because you don't want to be walking like an old man when you're 25 years old with a walking stick and going, here we go.
I think I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
How about you, Catherine? What support services do you think they need to be put into place?
I'm not sure. In restaurants, in sports clubs, what are we talking?
So we're talking. That's right. So we're talking about the availability of I can't pronounce it.
Availability.
The availabilities of carers or a support person. Like, what services do you know that are out there, or what do you believe should be out there?
Well, it depends on your needs, really.
Yeah.
Interchange is good for all needs, whether it's mild or severe, and they but in services, if you do want to go into a service, they should be treating you on what your need level is. Well, for instance, I can do so much on my own independently. Like slip, slop, slap, I can do that, no problem. Just tell me, put sunscreen on and I'll do it, whatever. Put a hat on, I know that. I know my son's smart. Anyway, I was in a group with interchange, and they tell me, come here, darling, whatever. And then they have gloves on, sunscreen, putting sunscreen on me. I'm like, this is what's going on.
Taking the independence away.
Yeah, taking my independence away.
Really bad.
And I just feel this is wrong.
Yeah, and then you got to have that awkward conversation of,
I can understand
actually,
that some people
I
can't.
love the fact that you're helping, but I can do it.
Yeah, they should just, I like it, So I like when people just treat me normal but support the needs and what my needs are, basically. Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what needs to happen, and we have some suggestions for you. And we're back and I'm here with Storm and Catherine, and I'm barely able to speak, which is a good sign. So before we last left you, we were about to suggest some ways in what we think needs to happen. So the first point I have conveniently written here is to provide more opportunities to modernise the services, enabling participation and access of people with disabilities, etc. Increase funding to alter a premises, which we touched on earlier, or to provide equipment and facilities. Another one is the advertising and promotion of accessibility of such services to members of the community. And just even on that, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Well, for me, I've got some funny stories about my social life, and I'm sure everyone on the panel has. When I was at an 18th birthday party, I got drunk. And apparently, there's a myth going around that I could actually walk without my crutches. So, I'm walking around, and I'm like, oh, what do you do, mate? And all that sort of stuff. And I saw this wall. I'm thinking I'm Spider-Man, so I'm actually trying to climb the wall with a Spider-Man, because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, because I love my fan comics and all that sort of stuff. But that's another story. But anyway, to the point, I was trying to climb the walls and trying to act like Spider-Man.
I've heard of being, so fidgety that you decided to climb the walls, but you literally tried to.
That's right.
So, it's actually funny. I've actually heard that people with disabilities, when they drink, children, I don't recommend that you do this, but when you get absolutely, let's be honest, when you get flaming blind,
Yes.
Yep.
you apparently can somewhere in your motor function, walk straight. And I had a mate that I don't have contact with anymore, but when he came to my 18th, after a couple of drinks, he swore I was walking better than I could sober.
That's exactly
So
what
I've
my friend
actually
said.
heard that is that is true.
Mm.
What about you, Catherine? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, funny story. New Year's Eve, just gone. I was so drunk. And I was the culprit. I went to a party just around the corner from me, a friend and friend. Anyway, I'm the one that bought the shots.
Yep.
And got everyone drunk.
I can tell this is going to a good
Yeah,
place.
this is going great. Sweetie, this is Catherine. Not so sweetie, this
But they
anymore.
ain't gonna happen anymore. I was like, no.
What happened?
I got so drunk. I got.
What's the thing that you remember the most when you got drunk? What was the one thing you remembered doing?
I couldn't hold myself, and I was on the grass, and I just spewed. And went over like, I can't get up. I need a cup. Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh, for most alcoholics, that's a good New Year's.
That's a good thing.
That's what I really good.
That's a 10 out of 10 in my book.
Yeah, like just touching on that because we were talking about alcohol. I want to go and just touch on this quickly. With hangover cures, what did you guys do? Because I know for people with a disability, like we have to be some of us have to be really careful. Like we can't eat a greasy breakfast or a.
Well,
Yeah, go.
the following day, I had a lunch at my with family, as my uncle was down from Queensland, so that was all right. Anyway, I thought, oh, I can't go. I don't feel well, but I thought, no, I can go. And later, around lunchtime, I just wanted to eat, so I just had whatever I want. So it was burgers, it was this and that, and I thought I didn't have a coffee in the morning. So later, I just felt like a coffee, which I don't usually have in the afternoon.
What about you, Storm?
Milk. That's the number one cure. Milk. That's all I'm going to say. Drink lots of milk.
Like hot, cold?
Because what happens is your stomach line is really, really in bad shape. So you've got to fix that stomach line to make sure you don't go all the time when you're drunk, even afterwards.
Yeah, but do you need it hot or cold?
For me, cold, only cold.
Yeah, see for me it was peanut butter toast that did it.
You just wouldn't crave.
And what's the theory behind that, Nathan? Just before we wrap up.
There's no actual theory, but it's really interesting because I didn't stumble. Like I almost fell over once. But the one thing I have learned, and this is a great lesson, if you've had a bit of alcohol, play Need for Speed. You will find that's a safe way to test your driving skills without getting on the road and hurting somebody else.
There you go, people.
I hit the back of a van that came out of nowhere.
Oh no.
But yeah, well, on that note, now that we've gotten to the bottom of the bottle of the issue, we're gonna get out of here, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
And
Great
yeah,
chatting.
I've been your host, Nathan, and this is Storm and Catherine.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.